All right, today we had a really good day in OTC land. There were two really nice runners. So TPTW was one of them. As we could see from this chart, it had huge volume, huge liquidity, went on a big run. And the other was LCLP, which was a former runner that had news today that really propelled it higher with some good volume. Now, I want to go over my trades on these. Starting with TPTW, this is basically a pattern that I've gotten really accustomed to this year, probably my favorite pattern, and I call it the day two gap hold and spike. So basically it's when an OTC stock has a huge run on huge volume with very little meaningful overhead resistance. So anything in this area I don't really care about because as you can see the volume is so low, so it's not meaningful. And basically the idea is the big volume and the big run give it a lot of attention and it could potentially gap and have a day two. Now when it gaps, what I'm looking for it to do is have a little dip in the morning and hold green or just hold up right away and spike. So in this scenario, we had a gap and we dipped for 1 minute and I was prepared for this and I bought 100,000 shares at 0.043. We got a great spike and I sold it along the way with another scalp in here. I scalped a few of the dips and I just left it alone. Very meticulous pattern and I'm looking for this exact move right here in the morning. And if I pull over some of these stats that I have, I'm not going to fully go through them, but this is the idea of what I'm looking for. So just over this year, there were a few of these plays, and the main things I really like to focus in on are the float and the market cap. As we see, TPTW, the one I played this morning, had a pretty small float. That's about 800 million. Some of these other ones that had a very small float, like BPSR, 100 million, really went on a nice run as well. And also the small market cap ones are able to really fly. Dollar volume is very important to me because it has to be liquid. Now this one didn't have crazy dollar volume, but it was good enough to really keep going. And the other things that are really the main focus for me is if we're dipping out of the open or if we go green to red. So usually, as you could see here, there's a slight dip out of the open. So that's why I was prepared on TPTW for this quick little dip and then rip. Because I have some stats. It's not a big sample because I just started this year, but it's helped me out. And it doesn't always hold green, and even if it doesn't hold green, sometimes it comes back and spikes even higher. And I just want to go over, interesting that I have LCLP here from 714. This one actually ended up working out back then if I go into that one. Yeah, that was my whole trade on TPTW there, so now I'll go into LCLP. And if we go back actually to 714 in here, let's see. Let's go on demand and I'll show you how it acted. So you see that what I'm looking for, the big volume, big run, no overhead resistance, definitely has a chance to go higher. In this case, we actually went red, panicked, and then ripped. But normally on these big runners with no overhead in the OTC world, on day two, they will usually offer a morning spike. Now, yeah, see, open to high. You usually have some sort of spike. Oh, sorry, that's on day one. Next day open to high. You usually have some sort of spike. At least, you know, on more than half of these, you're gonna have a nice spike. Some run really hard. Some, you know, like here, oops, here, they just have a little spike and fade. But I like the potential because it's a very defined risk. If you're buying a dip, it's very safe because if it cracks again, you'll cut it, and it usually spikes nicely. So now going back into LCLP today, this one I actually nailed it. A PR came out at 9:36, and I wasn't really too focused on what the PR had to say. What I cared about was this daily chart. We had a big run, nice spike, and we've been consolidating above this previous high over here. So that was a really good sign to me, where any good volume, anything that really made this go higher, I wanted to be a part of. So I actually bought 100,000 shares at 0.025 on that PR. Wish I got more in hindsight. And I actually sold it right into the spike for a penny and then rebought this dip and sold it when 4 spiked with a ton of volume and then rejected. I played a few scalps during the day, but it was kind of choppy in my opinion. And I lost a little bit over here on some of these dips. I think I lost about like 400, but made a good amount of money in the beginning. And yeah, these are A plus OTC plays, exactly what I'm looking for. And LCLP does kind of fit the criteria of seeing if we could gap hold and spike tomorrow and keep pushing. Yes, it has overhead resistance, but I think it closed impressively strong, had a very strong day, and maybe if we hold, we could spike and rip through 6 and have a breakout. You never know. I mean, given the last time it had a big run, over here we gapped and we spiked. Here it held up, and then the next day it gapped and spiked again. So it makes me think that this has the potential to gap and spike. Maybe it dips red first, we'll see, but this will definitely be when I'm watching, and maybe you could look at it in real time tomorrow and see if the pattern plays out. But other than that, those are really my main 2 trades today. I did try OZSC this morning, where I played that similar scenario. I don't love it as much because it's a first green day on a very beaten down play. But I did buy it out of the gate and I flipped it right over 8 cents real quick. I did get 100,000 shares, so decent gain. Didn't buy the dip, but you see here how important that green to red line is. So all dips you could buy, and they could usually have some good morning volatility and spike back up. And if not, you're buying a dip, so you're very safe. Let's see. I'm just seeing if I traded anything else. Oh, RGBP. RGBP was just an end of day play. It consolidated really well, so I bought some 0.0595 and 0.06, and I just scalped out when 0.061 failed. I should have held. Nice close. This is one I'm definitely watching closely. Now that we're really gaining some momentum, if we consolidate up here and break out again, maybe we could come back up and test this 8 cent level soon in the next few days, weeks. We'll see. Hindsight, I wish I still had my position down here and also in here, but I'm just playing the trend and hopefully it holds up and keeps going. But yeah, those are my plays for today, and I'm just very excited that these OTCs are back. They're a lot hotter than what they used to be, and hopefully they keep pushing. Hopefully LCLP keeps running. Hopefully TPTW offers some sort of OTC panic tomorrow and then holds up and keeps breaking out. Hopefully RGBP keeps going. And that's about it. Definitely a great day to review. Some of my best days happen on these days where we get these strong frontside OTC moves. And overall on the day, I ended it just at about 3.1K, $3,083. So it's a great day. I didn't even get the size I wanted to on these plays. I would have liked to size up at least 2 to 3 more times than what I did. But live and learn. I'll move on. Hopefully tomorrow's just as good as today and these OTCs stay hot.